the spotlight, where we delve into the captivating stories of extraordinary individuals who have shaped the course of history and left an indelible impact on the world. For more informative videos, subscribe to my channel. Early life. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. He was the second child of Martin Luther King Sr. and Alberta Williams King. His birth name was Michael King Jr., but his father later changed both of their names to Martin Luther in honor of the German Protestant reformer Martin Luther. Growing up in a middle-class African-American family, King experienced both racial segregation and discrimination, which deeply influenced his views and later activism. He attended segregated public schools in Georgia, skipping the 9th and 12th grades and enrolling in Morehouse College in Atlanta at the age of 15. Education and early activism. King excelled academically and became involved in social activism during his college years. He was inspired by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi and the nonviolent resistance movement. After graduating from Morehouse College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology, he attended Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, earning a Bachelor of Divinity degree in 1951. King then pursued doctoral studies at Boston University and completed his Ph.D. in systematic theology in 1955. During his time in Boston, he met and married Coretta Scott, and they would go on to have 4 children. Montgomery bus boycott.
Don't let anybody make you feel that you are nobody. You are somebody, you have dignity, you have worth. Don't be ashamed of yourself, and don't be ashamed of your heritage. Don't be ashamed of your color. Don't be ashamed of your hair. I am black and beautiful, and not ashamed to say it.
Constitutional. Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, in 1957, King and other civil rights activists formed the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, to coordinate nonviolent protests against racial segregation and discrimination. King emerged as the organization's charismatic leader, advocating for civil rights through peaceful means and civil disobedience. Birmingham Campaign and I Have a Dream, in 1963, King and the SCLC organized a series of protests in Birmingham, Alabama, aiming to end segregation in one of the most racially divided cities in the U.S. The campaign led to violent clashes with law enforcement, but the images of police brutality helped garner national and international support for the civil rights movement. On August 28, 1963, King delivered his iconic, "I Have a Dream" speech during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. This speech emphasized his vision of racial harmony and equality and is considered one of the most powerful and moving speeches in American history. Voting rights and Chicago movement. After the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed segregation and discrimination, King turned his attention to voting rights. He led protests in Selma, Alabama, advocating for African Americans' right to vote. These efforts culminated in the historic Selma to Montgomery marches, which helped push the Voting Rights Act of 1965 into law. King's activism also extended beyond the South. He confronted issues of poverty and housing discrimination in northern cities like Chicago, aiming to address systemic racism in all its forms. Opposition and assassination. As King's influence and activism continued to grow, he faced increasing opposition from white supremacists and segregationists who resisted desegregation and civil rights reform. He endured numerous arrests, threats, and acts of violence. Tragically, on April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. He was shot while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel by James Earl Ray. His death sparked outrage and grief across the nation and around the world. Legacy. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is one of profound impact on civil rights, equality, and justice. His leadership and dedication to nonviolent protest helped shape the course of American history. He received posthumous honors, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal. His birthday is now celebrated as a national holiday in the United States, highlighting his enduring influence on the fight for civil rights and his dream of a more just and equitable society. Life of Meena Keshwar. Meena Keshwar Kamal, 1956-1987, was an Afghan feminist, women's rights activist, and poet who played a significant role in advocating for gender equality and women's rights in Afghanistan. Her life and work are celebrated as a symbol of resistance against oppressive regimes and for the empowerment of women. Early life. Meena Keshwar Kamal was born on February 27, 1956, in Kabul, Afghanistan. She came from a progressive and educated family. Her parents were both intellectuals who supported her education and aspirations. Meena's exposure to her parents' ideals of equality and justice laid the foundation for her future activism. Activism and contributions. In 1977, Meena founded the Revolutionary Association of the Women of Afghanistan, RAWA, an organization dedicated to advocating for the rights of Afghan women and working towards a just and democratic society. RAWA sought to combat the oppressive practices of the Afghan government and later, the Taliban regime. Meena's activism included organizing campaigns and protests against human rights violations, advocating for education and healthcare for women, and challenging the patriarchal norms that restricted women's freedom. She was instrumental in highlighting the atrocities committed against Afghan women under the Soviet-backed government and later the Taliban regime. One of Meena's most significant achievements was the establishment of secret schools for girls during the Soviet occupation in the Taliban rule, when education for girls was severely restricted. These underground schools played a crucial role in ensuring that Afghan girls continued to receive an education despite the oppressive environment. Legacy. Tragically, Meena's life was cut short when she was assassinated in 1987 in Quetta, Pakistan, under circumstances that remain unclear. Her death was a blow to the Afghan women's rights movement, but her legacy lived on through RAWA's continued efforts. Meena Keshwar Kamal's legacy is one of unwavering commitment to women's rights, justice, and equality. Her work inspired countless individuals to stand up against oppression and advocate for change. She remains a symbol of resistance and courage, both in Afghanistan and globally. Honors and recognition. Meena Keshwar Kamal's contributions to the women's rights movement have been recognized through various awards and honors. Her legacy has been celebrated through events, documentaries, and literature that highlight her life and work. In 2006, RAWA established the Meena Prize for Women's Rights, an award given to individuals or organizations that demonstrate exceptional dedication to women's rights and social justice. Conclusion. Meena Keshwar Kamal's life was marked by her tireless efforts to promote women's rights and social justice in Afghanistan. Her legacy continues to inspire activists and advocates around the world who work to create a more equitable and just society. Despite the challenges and dangers she faced, Meena's determination and courage have left an indelible mark on the history of women's rights and activism in Afghanistan and beyond. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is one of the most revered figures in American history. His life was marked by numerous struggles and achievements that shaped not only his personal journey but also the course of the nation. Here's a detailed overview of his biography and the significant struggles he faced. Early life and background. 1. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in a one-room log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, now LaRue County. 2. He grew up in a poor family and had limited formal education, largely being self-taught through books he borrowed. 3. His mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, died when he was 9 years old, leaving a significant impact on his emotional and intellectual development. 4. The family moved to Indiana, and later to Illinois, where Lincoln started working various odd jobs, including rail splitting and store clerking. Legal and political aspirations. 1. Lincoln had a deep interest in law and politics. 1. He taught himself law and became a self-trained lawyer in Illinois. 2. In the 1830s and 1840s, he served as a member of the Illinois State Legislature, where he advocated for improvements in infrastructure, education, and other issues. 3. He became known for his speeches and debates, which showcased his wit, humor, and strong convictions. Struggles and challenges. 1. One of Lincoln's most significant struggles was his battle with depression, often referred to as melancholia during his time. 1. He suffered from intense periods of sadness and despair, which he called the hypo, or the gloom. 2. He experienced several personal losses, including the deaths of his mother, his first love Anne Rutledge, and 2 of his 4 children at a young age. 3. Lincoln also faced criticism and opposition in his political career. 3. His stance against the expansion of slavery put him at odds with powerful pro-slavery interests in the United States. Road to the presidency. 1. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected as the 16th President of the United States as the first Republican president. 2. His election prompted several Southern states to secede from the Union, leading to the start of the American Civil War in 1861. American Civil War. 1. Lincoln's presidency was defined by the Civil War, a deeply divisive conflict between the Northern states, Union, and the Southern states, Confederacy, over issues including slavery and states' rights. 2. He faced the immense challenge of leading the nation through the war while maintaining the Union and abolishing slavery. Emancipation Proclamation. 1. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared all slaves in Confederate-held territory to be free. 1. This marked a significant step towards the abolition of slavery in the United States. Gettysburg Address. 1. In November 1863, Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, a brief but powerful speech that emphasized the importance of preserving the Union and the principles of equality and democracy. Assassination and legacy. 1. On April 14, 1865, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer, at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. 2. Lincoln's legacy is profound. 2. He is celebrated for preserving the Union, ending slavery, and his eloquent speeches that continue to inspire generations. Abraham Lincoln's life was characterized by his determination, resilience, and commitment to justice and equality. Despite the numerous personal and political struggles he faced, he left an indelible mark on American history as a visionary leader who guided the nation through one of its most tumultuous periods. George Washington, 1732-1799, was the first President of the United States, serving from 1789 to 1797. He played a crucial role in the American Revolutionary War and is often referred to as the father of his country for his leadership and contributions to the foundation of the United States. Here's a detailed overview of his life. Early life and education. Birth and family background. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, in Westmoreland County, Virginia. He was born into a wealthy and prominent family of English descent. His father, Augustine Washington, was a planter, and his mother, Mary Ball Washington, came from a well-connected family. Youth and education. George was the oldest of 6 children. His father passed away when he was 11, and he was raised primarily by his mother. He received a basic education at home and from a local school, focusing on subjects like mathematics, geography, and surveying. He didn't attend a formal college but was a lifelong learner. Early military career. Surveying. As a teenager, Washington worked as a land surveyor, gaining valuable skills in mapmaking and land assessment. This experience would prove crucial in his later military and political endeavors. French and Indian War. During the French and Indian War, 1754-1763, Washington served as an officer in the Virginia militia. He gained recognition for his bravery and leadership during battles like the Battle of Fort Necessity and the Battle of Monongahela. Role in the American Revolution. Continental Congress. In the lead-up to the American Revolution, Washington attended the Continental Congress as a delegate from Virginia. He was chosen as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army in 1775 due to his military experience and leadership reputation. Revolutionary War. Washington led the Continental Army through significant challenges during the Revolutionary War. His strategic decisions, including the famous winter at Valley Forge, played a vital role in keeping the army together and eventually securing victory against the British. Presidency and later life. Constitutional Convention. After the Revolutionary War, Washington played a key role in the Constitutional Convention of 1787, which led to the drafting of the United States Constitution. His support lent credibility to the Constitution's ratification. Presidency. Washington was unanimously elected as the first President of the United States in 1789. He served 2 terms from 1789 to 1797, setting important precedents for the office. He established the executive branch's framework, created the first cabinet, and helped shape the nation's foreign policy. Farewell Address. In his farewell address, Washington warned against political factionalism, foreign entanglements, and sectionalism. He stressed the importance of national unity and the preservation of the Constitution. Death. George Washington died on December 14, 1799, at his plantation, Mount Vernon, in Virginia. He died from a severe throat infection, likely acute epiglottitis. His death was a significant loss for the young nation, and he left a lasting legacy as a leader, soldier, and statesman. George Washington's contributions to American history and his commitment to the ideals of liberty and democracy continue to be celebrated and honored to this day. Giuseppe Mazzini, 1805 to 1872, was an Italian revolutionary, nationalist, and political activist who played a significant role in the movement for Italian unification during the 19th century. His efforts were instrumental in shaping the modern concept of Italy as a unified nation. Here is a detailed overview of his life from his early years to his death. Early life and education, 1805 to 1827. 1. Birth and childhood. Giuseppe Mazzini was born on June 22, 1805, in Genoa, which was part of the Kingdom of Sardinia at the time. 1. He came from a middle-class family with strong nationalist sentiments. 2. Educational background. Mazzini studied law at the University of Genoa. 2. During his time there, he developed an interest in literature, philosophy, and political activism. Emergence as a revolutionary, 1828 to 1830. 1. Inspiration from Carbonari. Mazzini joined the Carbonari, a secret society that aimed to overthrow despotic regimes and establish constitutional governments in Italy. 1. He was drawn to their ideals of unity, freedom, and national independence. 2. Exile to France. After his involvement in revolutionary activities was discovered by the authorities, Mazzini fled to France in 1831 to avoid arrest and persecution. Founding Young Italy, 1831 to 1833. 1. Formation of Young Italy. In 1831, Mazzini founded Giovine Italia, or Young Italy, an organization dedicated to promoting Italian unification and independence. 1. The organization aimed to inspire a sense of nationalism among young Italians and create a united Italian republic. 2. Ideology. Mazzini's ideology centered around the idea of a unified Italian nation based on shared language, culture, and history. 2. He believed that only a united Italy could achieve true liberty and progress. Exile and continued activism, 1834 to 1848. 1. Exile in Switzerland. After facing political pressure and persecution, Mazzini moved to Switzerland, where he continued his revolutionary activities from a distance. 2. Role in European revolutions. Mazzini's influence spread beyond Italy as he participated in various European revolutionary movements of the 1840s, advocating for democratic reforms and national unity in countries like France and Hungary. Role in 1848 revolutions and later years, 1848 to 1872. 1. 1848 revolutions. The year 1848 marked a wave of revolutions across Europe, including in Italy. 1. Mazzini returned to Italy and actively participated in the uprisings, aiming to establish a unified Italian republic. 1. However, these uprisings largely failed, and Mazzini's dreams of immediate unification were dashed. 2. Exile and later activities. Following the failure of the revolutions, Mazzini spent most of his remaining years in exile, primarily in London. 2. He continued to write and advocate for Italian unification, but his influence waned as other political figures and forces gained prominence. 3. Death. Giuseppe Mazzini died on March 10, 1872, in Pisa, Italy. 3. Although he did not live to see the complete unification of Italy, his ideas and efforts laid the groundwork for the eventual achievement of Italian unity in 1861. Giuseppe Mazzini's dedication to the ideals of nationalism, unity, and liberty had a lasting impact on Italian history and the broader European revolutionary movements of the 19th century. Early life and education. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the village of Mvezo in the Eastern Cape Province of South Africa. He was born into the Tembu royal family, and his birth name, Rolihlahla, means pulling the branch of a tree, or metaphorically, troublemaker. He later became known by his English name, Nelson. Mandela's father, Gadla Henry Mpakanyiswa, was a local chief, and his mother, Nozakeni Fanny, was the third of his father's 4 wives. Mandela's early exposure to traditional Tembu customs and his father's influence shaped his values and sense of justice. Mandela attended a local missionary school and then the Clarkberry Boarding Institute and Wesleyan College, where he was given the English name, Nelson. Later, he studied law at the University of Fort Hare and the University of Witwatersrand. Political activism and anti-apartheid struggle. Mandela's involvement in political activism began during his university years. He joined the African National Congress, ANC, in 1943, which was fighting against the apartheid policies of racial segregation enforced by the white minority government in South Africa. As the ANC's resistance escalated, Mandela became a prominent leader. He was involved in organizing protests, strikes, and other forms of civil disobedience. In 1952, he and Oliver Tambo established the first black law firm in South Africa, providing legal aid to those affected by apartheid laws. Arrest and imprisonment. In 1961, the ANC formed an armed wing called Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear of the Nation, and Mandela became its leader. He advocated for non-violent methods, but the Sharpeville massacre of 1960 and subsequent events pushed him towards a more militant stance. In 1962, Mandela was arrested and charged with sabotage and other offenses. In 1964, he was sentenced to life imprisonment during the infamous Rivonia trial. He spent 27 years in prison, most of it on Robben Island, enduring harsh conditions and minimal contact with the outside world. Release and negotiations. International pressure and internal resistance forced the South African government to consider political reforms. In 1990, after immense pressure and negotiations, President F.W. de Klerk ordered Mandela's release from prison. Mandela emerged as a symbol of resistance and reconciliation. He worked closely with de Klerk to dismantle apartheid and establish a multiracial democracy. Together, they won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 for their efforts. Presidency and legacy. In 1994, South Africa held its first multiracial elections, and Mandela became the country's first black president. His presidency was marked by efforts to heal the nation's wounds, bridge racial divides, and implement policies to address the deep inequalities inherited from apartheid. Mandela served 1 term as president and voluntarily stepped down in 1999, setting an example of democratic leadership. He continued his activism and advocacy for human rights, global peace, and combating HIV/AIDS. Nelson Mandela passed away on December 5, 2013, at the age of 95, at his home in Johannesburg. His legacy endures as a symbol of peace, reconciliation, and the triumph of the human spirit over adversity. He remains an inspiration for people around the world who strive for justice, equality, and freedom. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was a prominent Pakistani politician who played a crucial role in the country's politics from the 1960s until his execution in 1979. Here's a biography of his life, covering his early life, education, and eventual death. Early life and family background. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was born on January 5, 1928, in Larkana, Sindh, which is now part of Pakistan. He was born into a prominent and influential Sindhi Muslim family. His father, Sir Shah Nawaz Bhutto, was a prominent landowner and politician in the British Indian province of Sindh. The Bhutto family belonged to the educated elite of the region, and Zulfikar was exposed to politics and social issues from a young age due to his family's involvement. Education. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto received his early education at the Cathedral High School in Bombay, now Mumbai, India. He later attended the University of Southern California in the United States, where he studied political science and economics. He earned his bachelor's degree in 1950 and then continued his education at the University of California, Berkeley, where he completed a master's degree in political science in 1952. After completing his education abroad, Bhutto returned to Pakistan and joined the civil service. He worked in various government positions, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Political career. Bhutto's political career began to take shape when he joined the government of President Iskandar Mirza in the mid-1950s. He served in various capacities, including as the country's representative to the United Nations. Bhutto was a talented and articulate diplomat, which earned him recognition on the international stage. In 1967, Bhutto broke away from President Ayub Khan's government and founded the Pakistan People's Party, PPP, a left-leaning political party aimed at advocating for the rights of the common people in addressing social and economic issues. The PPP gained significant popularity, especially among the working class and rural communities. Prime Minister in later years, amid growing public discontent with Ayub Khan's regime, protests, and demands for democratic reforms, Bhutto played a pivotal role in negotiating the transfer of power. In 1971, after the Bangladesh Liberation War and the subsequent loss of East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, President Yahya Khan handed over power to Bhutto. He became Pakistan's first civilian chief martial law administrator and later the president. Bhutto's most notable achievement was the framing of Pakistan's 1973 constitution, which marked the country's return to democratic governance. He became the Prime Minister of Pakistan under this new constitution and held the position from 1973 to 1977. Death. Bhutto's political career took a tragic turn in 1977 when he was ousted in a military coup led by General Muhammad Zia-ul-Haq. In 1979, after being implicated in a controversial murder case, Bhutto was sentenced to death by hanging. Despite international appeals for clemency, he was executed on April 4, 1979. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's legacy remains a subject of debate and discussion in Pakistan. He is remembered both for his contributions to Pakistan's political landscape and for the controversies surrounding his leadership and ultimate downfall. Pakistani politician and cricketer Imran Khan. Early life and education. Imran Khan Niazi was born on October 5, 1952, in Lahore, Pakistan, to a well-to-do Pashtun family. He comes from a family of prominent cricket players. His paternal grandfather, father, and cousins were all involved in the sport. Cricket career. Imran Khan gained international prominence as a cricketer. He made his debut for the Pakistan national cricket team in 1971. He was known for his exceptional fast bowling and became one of the finest all-rounders in the history of cricket. Imran Khan's cricket career highlights include leading Pakistan to its first-ever Cricket World Cup victory in 1992 as captain. He retired from international cricket after that tournament. Education and personal interests. Imran Khan attended Aitchison College in Lahore and later went to the University of Oxford's Keble College. He studied economics and politics at Oxford and was known for his active involvement in cricket during his time there. Political journey. Imran Khan entered politics after his cricket career, forming the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI) party in 1996 with the aim of creating a more just and equitable society in Pakistan. He initially struggled to gain significant traction in the political arena but gradually built a following due to his charismatic persona and anti-corruption stance. Social and humanitarian work. Imran Khan has been actively involved in philanthropic and humanitarian endeavors. He founded the Shaukat Khanum Memorial Cancer Hospital and Research Center in Lahore in 1994, named after his mother who passed away due to cancer. He also established Namal University in Mianwali, Pakistan, in 2008, which aims to provide quality education to the less privileged. Political ascendancy. Imran Khan's political career gained momentum in the late 2000s and early 2010s. His party, PTI, started gaining seats in the national and provincial assemblies. He led a number of protests and rallies, advocating for electoral reforms and an end to corruption in Pakistani politics. 2018 general elections and prime ministership. Imran Khan's PTI secured the most seats in the 2018 general elections, and he became the 22nd Prime Minister of Pakistan. His government has focused on addressing issues such as corruption, economic stability, and social welfare. As elections approached in 2023, the chances of Nawaz Sharif's return to office appeared increasingly favorable. Khan, who had been disqualified from public office in October 2022 following allegations of corruption, was briefly detained in May 2023 after accusing a military officer of being behind an assassination attempt against him. A fierce reaction from his supporters led to a crackdown against his PTI party. Of Che Guevara. Ernesto Che Guevara, born on June 14, 1928, in Rosario, Argentina, was a prominent Marxist revolutionary, physician, author, guerrilla leader, and a key figure in the Cuban Revolution. His life story is marked by his involvement in revolutionary movements, his commitment to social justice, and his enduring legacy as a symbol of anti-imperialism and counterculture. Early life. Che Guevara was born into a middle-class family. His parents, Ernesto Guevara Lynch and Celia de la Serna, were both of Spanish and Irish descent. Guevara suffered from asthma from a young age, which would shape his experiences and influence his decision to become a doctor later in life. He was an intelligent and idealistic student, showing interest in literature, poetry, and sports. He attended the University of Buenos Aires to study medicine. Travels and awakening. In 1951, Guevara embarked on a transformative journey across South America with his friend Alberto Granado on a motorcycle. This journey exposed him to the poverty, inequality, and social injustices faced by the continent's marginalized populations. This experience deeply impacted his worldview and led him to question the existing social and economic systems. Cuban Revolution. In 1955, Guevara left Argentina again, this time for Guatemala, where he witnessed the overthrow of the democratically elected government by a US-backed coup. This event solidified his anti-imperialist beliefs. While in Mexico, Guevara met Fidel Castro and his revolutionary movement. He joined the movement, becoming an important strategist and commander. In 1956, Guevara, along with Fidel Castro and a group of rebels, sailed to Cuba aboard the yacht Granma to initiate an armed revolution against the dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista. The initial landing was a disaster, but Guevara and the surviving rebels regrouped and gradually gained support from the Cuban population. Guevara's guerrilla tactics and leadership were instrumental in the success of the revolution. Post-revolutionary years. After the successful overthrow of Batista's regime in 1959, Guevara held various positions within the new Cuban government, including Minister of Industry. He played a key role in implementing land reforms, nationalizing industries, and establishing ties with the Soviet Union. Guevara's vision extended beyond Cuba, as he believed in exporting the revolution to other parts of Latin America. International activism. Guevara's commitment to revolutionary ideals led him to engage in international efforts to support leftist movements. He traveled to Africa and later to Bolivia to assist revolutionary movements. However, his efforts faced challenges and setbacks. Death and legacy. Guevara's revolutionary activities eventually led him to Bolivia, where he attempted to foment a peasant uprising. In 1967, he was captured by the Bolivian military, with the assistance of the CIA, and was executed on October 9, 1967. His death marked the end of his active revolutionary endeavors. Che Guevara's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He remains an iconic symbol of rebellion, anti-imperialism, and counterculture around the world. His image is widely recognized and has been embraced by various social and political movements. He has been both praised as a champion of the oppressed and criticized for his methods and ideology. Guevara's life and ideals continue to spark debates and discussions about the nature of revolution, social justice, and the role of individuals in shaping history. Today we are discussing about life of Christopher Columbus. Early life. Christopher Columbus was born in Genoa, Italy, around 1451. Exact birth date is uncertain, to Domenico Colombo and Susanna Fontanarosa. He came from a middle-class family and was the eldest of 5 siblings. His family was involved in the wool weaving and cheese trade. Columbus received a basic education in subjects like astronomy, navigation, and mathematics, which would later prove crucial in his explorations. Early travels. In his late teens, Columbus started working as an apprentice for his father's trade. He also began sailing on merchant ships, gaining experience in navigation in the maritime trade. His travels took him to various parts of Europe, including England, Ireland, and Portugal. It was during his time in Portugal that he began studying maps and nautical charts, fueling his interest in finding a new trade route to Asia by sailing westward. The idea of exploration. Columbus believed that by sailing west across the Atlantic, he could reach the riches of Asia more quickly and efficiently than the traditional overland routes. He sought support for his idea from various European courts but faced numerous rejections due to his unconventional proposal. Voyages of exploration. First voyage, 1492-1493. Columbus finally gained the support of the Spanish monarchy, Ferdinand and Isabella. On August 3, 1492, he set sail with 3 ships, the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Niña. On October 12, 1492, he reached an island in the present-day Bahamas, believing he had reached the Indies. He explored several Caribbean islands, including present-day Cuba and Hispaniola, before returning to Spain in 1493. Second voyage, 1493-1496. Columbus embarked on a second voyage with a larger fleet, which included settlers and livestock. He aimed to establish permanent settlements in the newly discovered lands. This voyage was marked by conflicts with indigenous populations and internal disputes within the colony. Third voyage, 1498-1500. Columbus set out on his third voyage, exploring the northern coast of South America. During this voyage, he encountered the mouth of the Orinoco River, which led him to believe he had reached the Asian mainland. Fourth voyage, 1502-1504. Columbus's fourth and final voyage aimed to find a passage to the Indian Ocean. He explored the coasts of Central America, including present-day Honduras, Panama, and Costa Rica. His ships suffered significant damage during a storm, forcing him to seek refuge on the island of Jamaica. Later life and death. In the latter part of his life, Columbus faced declining fortunes and controversies. He was accused of mismanagement and mistreatment of the colonists under his authority. In 1506, Columbus died in Valladolid, Spain, at the age of approximately 54. He died believing he had discovered a new route to Asia, unaware that he had actually encountered previously unknown lands in the Americas. Columbus's legacy is complex. While he is celebrated for opening up the Americas to European exploration, his expeditions also brought immense suffering to indigenous populations through disease, forced labor, and colonization. Christopher Columbus's explorations paved the way for further European exploration and colonization of the Americas, reshaping world history and leading to the exchange of cultures, goods, and ideas between the Old World and the New World. Napoleon Bonaparte. Early life. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, which was then a French territory. He came from a relatively modest family of Italian descent. His father, Carlo Buonaparte, was a lawyer, and his mother, Letizia Ramolino, came from a prominent Corsican family. Napoleon received his early education in Corsica and later attended a military school in mainland France, where he excelled in mathematics and graduated as a second lieutenant in the artillery at the age of 16. Rise to power. As the French Revolution unfolded, Napoleon's military and leadership skills became evident. He quickly rose through the ranks of the French military and gained recognition for his role in suppressing counter-revolutionary uprisings. His success led to his appointment as a general in the French Revolutionary Army. In 1799, he staged a coup d'état known as the 18 Brumaire, overthrowing the existing French government and establishing himself as the first consul of the French Republic. This marked the beginning of his rise to power and eventual transformation of France's political landscape. Consulate and Emperor. Napoleon's leadership as first consul was characterized by a series of reforms aimed at consolidating his power and stabilizing France. He introduced the Napoleonic Code, a comprehensive legal framework that remains influential in modern legal systems. In 1804, he declared himself Emperor of the French, signaling the establishment of the Napoleonic Empire. Military campaigns. One of Napoleon's most defining characteristics was his military prowess. He conducted a series of military campaigns across Europe, known as the Napoleonic Wars, which reshaped the continent's political boundaries. Some of his most notable victories include the Battle of Austerlitz, Battle of Jena Auerstedt, and the Battle of Wagram. These successes allowed him to expand his empire and exert significant influence over European affairs. Downfall. Napoleon's aggressive expansionism eventually led to his downfall. A coalition of European powers, led by Great Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia, formed to counter his influence. The Peninsular War in Spain and the failed invasion of Russia in 1812 weakened his forces and reputation. In 1814, after a series of defeats, Napoleon was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the island of Elba in the Mediterranean. However, he managed to escape Elba in 1815 and returned to France for a brief period known as the 100 Days. His final defeat came at the Battle of Waterloo, where he was decisively defeated by the British and Prussian forces under the command of the Duke of Wellington. Exile and death. After his defeat at Waterloo, Napoleon was exiled once again, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. He spent the remaining years of his life in exile, reflecting on his past and writing his memoirs. Napoleon died on May 5, 1821, on St. Helena, at the age of 51. The exact cause of his death is debated, with theories ranging from stomach cancer to arsenic poisoning. His body was later returned to France and interred in a tomb at Les Invalides in Paris. Legacy. Napoleon's legacy is complex and far-reaching. His military strategies and administrative reforms left an indelible mark on European history. The Napoleonic Code, his legal legacy, influenced legal systems across the world. His rise to power and manipulation of political institutions also served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition. Napoleon's impact on art, culture, and politics continues to be studied and debated to this day. Mao Zedong, 1893 to 1976, was a Chinese communist revolutionary, political theorist, and founding father of the People's Republic of China. He played a crucial role in shaping modern China through his leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, his military strategies, and his policies. Here's a detailed biography of Mao Zedong. Early life and background. 1. Mao Zedong was born on December 26, 1893, in the village of Shaoshan, Hunan Province, China. 2. He came from a peasant family and received a traditional Chinese education before moving to Changsha to attend a modern school. Early involvement in politics. 1. Mao was deeply influenced by the ideas of Marxism and socialism during his time in Changsha. 2. He became involved in radical student and political movements, advocating for reform and social justice. Formation of the Chinese Communist Party. 1. Mao joined the newly formed Chinese Communist Party in 1921. 2. He quickly rose through the ranks due to his organizational skills and ideological fervor. The Long March. 1. In the 1930s, Mao led the Red Army on the epic Long March, a strategic retreat of around 6,000 miles to escape the encirclement of nationalist forces. 2. This arduous journey solidified Mao's leadership within the CCP and earned him the respect of his comrades. Second Sino-Japanese War and Civil War. 1. During World War II, Mao led the CCP's resistance against Japanese invaders while also continuing his struggle against the nationalist government led by Chiang Kai-shek. 2. After Japan's defeat, the Chinese Civil War resumed between the CCP and the nationalists. 3. Mao's forces gained support from rural peasants, utilizing guerrilla warfare tactics effectively. Establishment of the People's Republic of China. 1. On October 1, 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed the founding of the People's Republic of China, with Beijing as its capital. 2. The nationalists retreated to Taiwan, marking the separation of the two Chinas. Early years of the People's Republic. 1. Mao initiated land reforms and the redistribution of land to peasants, winning the support of the rural population. 2. He also launched campaigns to eradicate illiteracy and improve public health. 3. However, his policies, such as the Great Leap Forward, which aimed to rapidly industrialize China, resulted in economic and humanitarian disasters, including widespread famine. The Cultural Revolution. 1. In the 1960s, Mao launched the Cultural Revolution, a mass movement aimed at purging perceived capitalist and revisionist elements from Chinese society. 2. This movement led to widespread chaos, political persecution, and the destruction of cultural heritage. Late years and death. 1. Mao's health deteriorated in the 1970s, but he retained his position as chairman of the CCP in the country. 2. In 1976, Mao Zedong passed away on September 9 at the age of 82. 3. After his death, Deng Xiaoping rose to power and implemented significant economic reforms that shifted China toward a more market-oriented economy. Mao Zedong's legacy is complex and remains a subject of debate. He is celebrated for his role in ending China's feudal system, unifying the country, and establishing the People's Republic. However, his policies and movements, such as the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, caused immense suffering and loss of life. Mao's influence on Chinese politics, culture, and society continues to be. Adolf Hitler was a German politician and dictator who became infamous for his role in instigating World War II and perpetrating the Holocaust, in which millions of people, primarily Jews, were systematically murdered. His early life, rise to power, and eventual downfall are important parts of history. Here's a detailed biography of Adolf Hitler. Early life. 1. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, Austria-Hungary, now Austria, to Alois Hitler and Clara Polzel. 2. His father, Alois, was a strict and abusive man. 2. His mother, Clara, was a gentle and caring woman. 2. Hitler had 5 siblings, but only 2 of them survived into adulthood. 3. Hitler showed an early interest in art and wanted to become a painter. 3. He applied twice to the Academy of Fine Arts Vienna but was rejected both times. Pre-World War I. 1. In 1913, Hitler moved to Munich, Germany, where he continued his pursuit of art. 1. He struggled financially during this period. 2. When World War I broke out in 1914, Hitler enlisted in the Bavarian army. 2. He served as a soldier on the Western Front and was wounded twice. 3. His experiences during the war had a significant impact on him and contributed to his later radical beliefs. 3. He believed that Germany had been betrayed by politicians and Jews. Rise to power. 1. After the war, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, DAP, which later became the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, or the Nazi Party. 1. He quickly rose within the ranks due to his powerful speaking skills and charismatic personality. 2. Hitler's beer hall putsch in 1923, an unsuccessful attempt to overthrow the Weimar government in Munich, resulted in his arrest and imprisonment. 2. It was during this time that he wrote his manifesto, Mein Kampf, outlining his political ideology and vision for Germany. Nazi Party and political career. 1. After his release from prison, Hitler focused on rebuilding the Nazi Party. 1. He gained popularity by exploiting public discontent with the Treaty of Versailles and the economic hardships faced by Germany during the Weimar Republic era. 2. Through effective propaganda and public speaking, Hitler attracted a large following. 2. The Nazi Party gained seats in the Reichstag, German parliament, through elections. 3. In 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg appointed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany, believing he could control and moderate Hitler's extremist tendencies. Consolidation of power. 1. Once in power, Hitler quickly dismantled democratic institutions and concentrated power in his hands. 2. The Reichstag fire in 1933 was used as a pretext to pass the Reichstag Fire Decree, which suspended civil liberties and allowed for the persecution of political opponents. 3. The Enabling Act of 1933 gave Hitler the authority to enact laws without Reichstag approval, effectively making him a dictator. World War II. 1. Hitler pursued an aggressive foreign policy, which eventually led to the invasion of Poland in September 1939, triggering the start of World War II. 2. Over the course of the war, Nazi Germany occupied large parts of Europe. 2. Hitler's expansionist ambitions were based on his belief in the superiority of the Aryan race, and his desire for Lebensraum, living space, for Germans. The Holocaust. 1. One of the most horrific aspects of Hitler's regime was the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews, along with millions of others, including Romani people, disabled individuals, and political dissidents. 2. This genocide, known as the Holocaust, was carried out through extermination camps, mass shootings, forced labor, and other brutal methods. Downfall and death. 1. As Allied forces advanced on Germany from both the east and west, Hitler's hold on power began to weaken. 2. In April 1945, with Berlin surrounded by Soviet forces, Hitler and his inner circle retreated to the fear bunker beneath the city. 3. On April 30, 1945, as Soviet forces closed in, Hitler and his wife, Eva Braun, committed suicide. 3. Hitler took poison, and their bodies were later burned. Legacy. 1. Hitler's actions and ideologies led to immense human suffering, death, and destruction during World War II. 2. The Nuremberg trials held after the war established the accountability of Nazi leaders for their crimes against humanity. 3. Hitler's legacy serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power, extremist ideologies, and the importance of safeguarding democracy and human rights. It's important to approach the study of Hitler in this period of history with sensitivity, as the events are deeply tragic and their consequences are still felt today. Mother Teresa, born as Injaz Ganj Boyajiu, was born on August 26, 1910, in Skopje, which was then part of the Ottoman Empire and is now the capital of North Macedonia. Her parents were Albanian, and her father, Nikola Boyajiu, was involved in politics and business. From an early age, Mother Teresa displayed a strong desire to help others and showed a deep sense of compassion and empathy. Entering religious life. At the age of 18, she left home to join the Sisters of Loreto, an Irish community of nuns with missions in India. She took the name Sister Mary Teresa after Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, a French saint known for her humility and simplicity. She arrived in Calcutta, now Kolkata, India, in 1929, where she spent most of her life working to alleviate the suffering of the poor and destitute. Founding the Missionaries of Charity. In 1946, while traveling by train to Darjeeling for a retreat, Mother Teresa received what she described as a call within a call from God to serve the poorest of the poor. In 1950, she established the Missionaries of Charity, a religious congregation dedicated to providing care and support for the poorest and most marginalized people. The congregation grew rapidly, with branches established in various countries around the world. Work and legacy. Mother Teresa and her Missionaries of Charity provided assistance to those suffering from poverty, illness, and social abandonment. They opened homes for the dying, orphanages, and clinics that welcomed people of all religions and backgrounds. Mother Teresa emphasized the importance of love, compassion, and selflessness in serving others. She became a global symbol of selfless service and received numerous awards and honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. Criticism and controversy. Despite her positive reputation, Mother Teresa also faced criticism from some quarters. Critics accused her of not providing adequate medical care in her facilities and of glorifying suffering. Some also questioned her stance on issues such as abortion and contraception, which aligned with traditional Catholic teachings. Health and death. 1. In the 1990s, Mother Teresa's health began to decline. She suffered from heart problems and respiratory issues. Despite her own health struggles, she continued to be active in her mission and traveled around the world to support her charitable efforts. On September 5, 1997, Mother Teresa passed away in Calcutta at the age of 87. Canonization and legacy. Mother Teresa was beatified by Pope John Paul II in 2003, recognizing her as Blessed Teresa of Calcutta, a step toward sainthood. She was officially canonized as Saint Teresa of Calcutta by Pope Francis on September 4, 2016. Her legacy continues through the Missionaries of Charity and the countless lives she touched with her devotion to serving the poorest and most vulnerable. Mother Teresa's life story is a testament to her unwavering dedication to helping those in need and her commitment to living a life of profound compassion and service. Her work continues to inspire people around the world to make a positive impact on the lives of others. Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883, was a German philosopher, economist, sociologist, historian, political theorist, and revolutionary socialist. He is best known for his ideas on communism and his collaboration with Friedrich Engels in creating the foundational texts of Marxism. Here's a detailed biography of Karl Marx. Early life and education. 1. Karl Heinrich Marx was born on May 5, 1818, in Trier, a city in what is now Germany, into a middle-class Jewish family. 1. His father, Heinrich Marx, was a lawyer, and his mother, Henrietta Pressburg, came from a well-to-do family of vineyard owners. 2. Marx attended the University of Bonn and later the University of Berlin, where he studied law, history, and philosophy. 2. He was influenced by the philosophical writings of Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel in the radical political climate of the time. Early philosophical development. 1. In his university years, Marx became involved in radical political and intellectual circles, which exposed him to various ideas, including socialism and communism. 1. He also joined the Young Hegelians, a group of intellectuals critical of traditional religious and political institutions. Marx's shift to political economy. 1. After completing his studies, Marx turned his attention to journalism and political commentary. 1. He began contributing to radical newspapers and magazines, advocating for democratic and socialist reforms. 2. Marx moved to Paris in 1843, where he met Friedrich Engels, who became his lifelong collaborator. 2. Together, they developed a materialist view of history and began to analyze the economic and social conditions of the time. The Communist Manifesto. 1. Marx and Engels co-wrote the Communist Manifesto, published in 1848. 1. This landmark document outlined their view of history as a struggle between classes and predicted the eventual overthrow of the capitalist system by the working class, proletariat. 1. It also introduced the fundamental tenets of Marxism and communism. Exile and political activities. 1. Due to their revolutionary activities and writings, Marx and Engels faced political repression. 1. Marx was expelled from France and eventually settled in London, where he spent the rest of his life. 2. Marx continued to write extensively on political economy, labor theory, and class struggle. 2. His most significant work during this period was Das Kapital, a multi-volume analysis of capitalism, its dynamics, and its eventual downfall. Personal life and challenges. 1. Marx faced financial difficulties throughout his life. 1. He struggled to support his family, and his health also suffered due to the harsh living conditions and strenuous work. 2. Marx and his wife, Jenny von Westphalen, had several children, but many of them died young, which added to their personal hardships. Legacy and impact. 1. Although Marx's ideas didn't gain widespread recognition during his lifetime, they had a profound impact on subsequent generations. 1. His writings influenced revolutionary movements, labor unions, and socialist parties across the world. 2. After Marx's death on March 14, 1883, Engels worked to publish and promote Marx's remaining manuscripts, solidifying Marx's status as a major thinker in political economy, sociology, and philosophy. 3. The ideology based on Marx's ideas, Marxism, formed the basis for various communist movements and governments in the 20th century. 3. However, the practical implementation of these ideas often led to authoritarian regimes and social upheaval. Karl Marx's work remains a subject of study and debate in fields like philosophy, economics, political science, and sociology. He is remembered for his critique of capitalism, his insights into class struggle, and his contributions to understanding the dynamics of societal change.